What's up guys, Nick the Informative Fisherman here. Now you guys probably have seen that video going around of me skipping my frog and using my rod, actually sliding my rod down the line to knock the snag loose. There's about a, let's just say a big majority of people commenting saying, you're damaging the rod, you're gonna break the rod. Now, there's some key components here, or you're even gonna lose the rod, your line's gonna break, your rod's gonna fall in. All of that is a possibility, and I'm gonna tell you why it's not a possibility for me and what I'm doing to actually use the rod when I do it and what's critical to doing it. So, starting off, okay, what I'm actually talking about is if you cast a frog or a lure, you're skipping it out there and it gets stuck, like it's stuck on a piece of wood, it's stuck on the edge of a boat. I'm physically screwing the reel off of the rod, making a tight line and sliding my rod down to knock that lure loose. And I will show you close up step by step. What's critical to this is, yes, your line can break if you're using light line. If you notice, I'm skipping a topwater lure. This is 65-pound TCB braid. Very, very strong stuff. This is a STIX number 5, the torque stick. I designed this rod personally for topwater, skipping jigs, frogging, spooks, spinner baits, skipping jigs, you name it. These are double reinforced epoxy guides right here. These are Fuji O, so these are the strongest inserts made. When I was designing STIX, you can find them at stixfishing.com if you want to check it out. I was looking for the strongest guides and inserts out there. Does that mean you cannot break the tip of this rod or knock an insert out? Of course you can, okay? If you're going overboard, it's a very easy possibility. So, strong braid, strong rod are ready for it. This is a 7'4", medium heavy, faster action rod, leaning slightly more towards heavy, okay? That just means more bend in the tip right there. What's critical when you're knocking a lure loose is that it's not a big heavy lure. And this is gonna sound weird to you, but I never try to knock lures loose that are over ½ an ounce. This is the Duratech Toad that I'm skipping right here. It's a Savage Gear one on a BKK Chimera hook. Very sharp, strong stuff. Coming in around 3/8, all right? A little bit lighter. Now, you also notice that's a soft plastic frog. Now, if your rod's sliding down that line, yes, it's hitting the head of your hook, but there's not a lot of mass, and I'm not trying to actually hit that lure hard. I'm just trying to touch it, okay? And touching it is getting it to back out. It's not the hook tip that's necessarily buried when I'm skipping something weedless. A lot of the time it lodges into the sliver of some wood on a boat dock, or there's a V joint somewhere and it gets stuck in there. And all I'm trying to do is bump that lure back just a little bit, just the lightest touch with the rod tip, and I'll show you why that's happening and why it works. So, for example, let me try to stick it right here on my Outback boat right here on my trolling motor. This is my electrical boat. I live on a private lake right here, and I'm gonna lodge it kind of right in between here. All right, so let's imagine we're stuck right here, and I'm pulling on it, all right? I'm pulling, it's stuck, the frog's stuck right there. If you notice the rod, and this is gonna be weird, but I'm gonna kind of make this a little sloppy so the camera's gonna bounce around. What part about the rod is heavier? The back end, right? So imagine this leveraging tool right here. So I'm stuck right here. Essentially, the back of the rod is always heavier than the front of the rod. Not essentially, it's always. So even if I'm stuck in this position, let's say the rod slides down and I got the line pinched. The rod pushes my snag free. Well, the back end of the rod falls. The moment it touches, the back end of the rod falls, and this is where that lighter lure comes into play, because as that rod falls, it's gonna lift my lure over, and that's when you see me pull the reel in my hands, and I'm pulling the lure to the tip of the rod, and you'll see the rod do this in the water, and I'll show you those video clips, and it brings my snag out over the top of those snags or whatever I'm hooked on in there, tree branches, boat docks, ropes, you name it. So that's what's going on. I am not trying to hit the lure hard by any means. So if it seems like I'm throwing it hard or fast, I'll show you what I'm doing. I'll try to snag a bush over there. Let's see what happens. Let's keep it all going in one frame for you guys. Let me just try to fire it. Okay, I'm in there pretty good. I'm in the bush. No, it fell out of the bush. Let's try it again. Well, guys, I've never had a more difficult time in my life actually getting snagged. So I'm physically walking over to my neighbor's yard to manually snag myself into a hard predicament. So I'm going to expose the hook just to show you guys, and I'll put it right into the V on the wood right here. So let's make that a difficult snag here. There we go. That's a good one. It's a nice hard snag. Happened totally naturally. I probably made 100 casts and couldn't manage to get snagged, so that's a first. All right, guys, you can see we got the frog snagged over there. Now all I'm gonna do is hold my reel separate with one hand right here and unscrew the rod with my other hand. So I have two hands working right here. I'm gonna put it at a high enough angle. In the moment that tip makes impact, I'm gonna lower my reel so that rod will work like a crane essentially. The butt end will drop down and the tip will lift that frog out and over. Just like that. And I'm gonna strictly just reel it all the way back in. So when you see me frogging or you see me skipping, whether it's a fluke, whether it's a frog, and my rod looks soaking wet like that, you know that's what I've most likely been doing. Now, why? What is the scenario? Why would I do this? It's simple. A lot of the time, I just can't get to the snag, or I have to step on somebody's private property to get to that snag. You don't want to leave a snag lure in someone's dock if you can prevent it. And that's why a lot of people on docks run out being Karens or Kens. And, hey, get off of my dock. Don't throw lures around my dock, because lures get left there. Or the spot looks so good that you snag, and you'll see in that video that went viral for me, I recasted to the same spot twice that day after knocking my snag loose and caught fish in that exact same zone by doing that trick. Remember, you don't want to use a lure that has a bunch of hard head to it, like a football head jig, anything like that. You don't want to use an area that's got a bunch of hard mass on the end. Yes, you're still bumping the end of that hook a little bit, but the lure is primarily soft. It's lighter. When you slide that rod down on a heavier lure, it's going to make a harder impact, or it's got a bigger head on, it's going to make a harder impact. Yes, you can cause damage to your insert. If you whip the rod like a crazy man, you throw a Roger Clemens fastball, you could break the tip. People ask me how many tips I broke doing this. 0. The answer is 0. It's a honest truth. How many inserts have I knocked out on the tip in my lifetime? 2. I frog fish close to 200 days a year. I probably do this trick 3 to 5 times over every single frog trip. So you do the math, and I've never once knocked out an insert on a STIX. Number 5, the Torque Stick. So if you guys haven't tried out my rods yet, STIXfishing.com is my company. Give it a check. The frog that skips really good is the Duratech toad. I helped co-design this for Savage Gear, and that BKK hook right there. It's the best hooks you can possibly get your hands on, guys. Go check them out.